Greetings. Welcome to the Film School. I'm Joe, and tonight I'm going to talk about this exciting documentary I saw in the theater last night. It's part of Fathom Events. It's called What We Left Behind, and it's a documentary about Deep Space Nine. So if you're a Star Trek fan, this is good. It won't be a heavy spoiler review here because it's a documentary, so it's basically just the history of Deep Space Nine, the sort of middle child of the Star Trek franchise, of which I am a fan of and have been ever since I was a child. So I am a Trekkie and a Trekker, and it's a lot of fun. I actually learned a little bit from this documentary too. I was aware of the history of this series, but yeah, there's a lot more that was going on behind the scenes than I was aware of, and I really didn't know how unpopular this show was at first. I remember being very excited when Deep Space Nine started back in '93, and then probably within the first season and a half I sort of fell off, but I've since rewatched it, and so this documentary just happened to coincide with that. It's a fantastic documentary that Ira Stephen Bear put together. He was the showrunner of DS9 and the head writer. He had also worked on Next Generation, and put this through this documentary together through Indiegogo. It's distributed through Shout Studios with Shout Factory, and it had a lot of really cool insight into the show, and kind of interesting way to approach it, a documentary, because if you're a Star Trek fan, you'll appreciate it. If you're a Deep Space Nine fan, I think you're going to love it. If you're just a fan of documentaries, it's highly entertaining. The original main writing staff returns to sort of brainstorm a season opener for season 8, which there isn't a season 8. The show ran for 7 years, from 93 to 99, and these guys just kind of get together and sort of, after all these years of not working together, just kind of pick up where they left off, and they're just throwing ideas out, and it really gets into the writing, the head of the writers, and gets you a good idea of kind of what these script and story pitches would be like in their meeting rooms before they actually turn out draft after draft for shooting. But that part was really fascinating. They ended up taking what was to be 5 minutes of footage from the original series to be remastered in HD. They ended up taking, and it looked so good, came out so well, that they ended up doing all 20 minutes of footage that was incorporated from the TV series into this documentary. So it's about an hour and 40 minutes, an hour and 45 minutes, and there's 20 minutes of footage as reference points from the original series, and it all got this HD remastered process, which they had to do independently of CBS, because so far CBS and Paramount don't have plans to release DS9 and Blu-ray, but hopefully this documentary will change their minds, because it's really insightful. It covers the entire run of the show from its inception all the way to the end, and pretty much everybody who was a reoccurring and central character, and actor-wise, they all get their turn to speak, and it takes you deeper into the writers and editors and costume designers and cinematographers, and just kind of covered the whole gambit. So I actually really love this documentary. Had a lot of good humor to it, and it's one that you stay through the credits. It's a lot of fun to watch. Not sure if this is going to any other Fathom events or any festival events before it comes out on Blu-ray, but I urge you, if you eventually see it coming to your town, check this movie out. And if that doesn't happen, wait for it to stream or buy it, like I will be. I really enjoy this. I'm going to give it 4 out of 4 stars for an industry doc and a retrospective on a TV show that I've recently grown to appreciate more than I ever have before. Although I still think Voyager is the bananas Star Trek show, but Deep Space Nine is quite different. It's a show that has a lot of social relevance then in the 90s, and still does. In a lot of ways, it was ahead of its time, and definitely the darker Star Trek iteration, right? It's not the exploring strange new worlds and seeking out new life kind of thing, which I guess turned off a lot of viewers in time, but it has built up a rather large following now. So if you see it on Netflix and you haven't seen Deep Space Nine, give the show a shot. It's a lot more complicated than some of the other Star Trek series. Next Generation and TOS are still my favorite, though. But I love them all. So, anyways, just really excited about this documentary. I'm glad I got to see it on the big screen, and I'm just encouraging people to check it out. 4 out of 4 stars. Good documentary. What We Left Behind, an inside look at Deep Space Nine. So thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next time.